Well, listeners, as you know, we are going through these movies that are showing at Monsterfest one by one at the moment, and the next cab off the rank is the brand new film from Luke Sparke, who we've been a huge fan of on this show over the years. His brand new film is called Scurry, and we've actually got him on the phone right now to tell us a little bit about it. Welcome to the program, mate.
Yeah, hello. Hello to everyone out there.
We're all well, mate. Thank you for chatting to us today. I've got to ask, Scurry, I had the opportunity to watch this film this morning, and I've got to say, fell in love with it straight away. Tell us a little bit about where this journey started for you with this film.
Well, I appreciate the comments first and foremost. Yeah, look, I have lots of writers reach out to me. So this is actually one of my films that isn't written by me. Usually I write and direct and all that kind of stuff, but this was actually the first time a writer sent something to me, pitched it to me, and I kind of, looked at the pitch deck, looked at the script, and I thought, wow, this is a really interesting, tight, a movie that I could just see in my head. So I picked it up and started to develop it. But when the writers' strike, or when the actors' strike happened last year, we actually shot it during that. It was an opportune time here in Australia to be working when the rest of the world wasn't. So that's sort of when I came up with the idea of shooting it in real time. So that's sort of like the journey of how this movie got up.
So, what was that like for you when you first picked up Tom's script and read it? You said that it was a film that you could imagine in your head straight away. What was it about the film that kind of really stood out to you from that screenplay?
I think it's something, for me as a director, something different to do. My stuff's usually quite big and whatever, and this was just like it's focused on these two people in this unknown situation, trying to get out of the cave. And like I said, once I developed it into sort of more of a real time shoot, I thought that could be an interesting spin on it rather than doing it the traditional way, for better or worse. But yeah, I think it just leapt out to me of just this claustrophobic environment, two characters, and sort of put myself into a challenge mode of like, could I pull this off?
What was people's reaction when you first started to say, look, I think we can do this in real time? Like, what was people's reaction? Was it like, we can't do this, or were they excited?
I think everyone was excited. I think everyone thinks I'm kind of crazy. I come up with lots of stuff. Whenever I pitch it to things to people, they're like, "Oh, it's a Luke Sparke thing." So, if you can do it, which I thought I could. So people kind of get the point now. I've made, this is my sixth movie, so people sort of trust me and trust the process of, achievability. I also. So the producer, I also edited it, I also was the production designer, so wear all these many hats to make these films come out.
I don't say this lightly, but with your movies like Occupation and Occupation Rainfall, I think you've opened up the eyes of a lot of young Australian filmmakers to what we can achieve here in this country with a smaller budget, but to make a film look amazing. Are you kind of aware of that now when you enter into a film, that there are going to be young filmmakers out there watching what you're doing and thinking, wow, if Luke can do it, I can do it too?
Yeah, look, it's been mentioned to me in the past. I've had some, film commissions come to me and sort of in the process of interviewing me sort of say the same thing you just said, that people have, mentioned, especially up here in Queensland, and I think a couple in Melbourne have said, oh, they literally had the words, if Luke Sparke can do it, I can do it. And yeah, it's flattering. I don't try to think about it too much because the pressure builds. I've already got a lot of pressure when you do these movies because they're kind of, all the roles I take on as it's very all-encompassing. So, you're sort of in it, and you got to focus on the end goal. But yeah, I hope that's the case, and I hope, that's kind of why I did my first film to begin with. It's just to show people that if I can do it, other people can do it out here.
Yeah, Scurry is another one of those films where I think it does show people that they can achieve a very, very good-looking film with a difference like you've done here. So I've got to ask, with the casting, you filmed during the actors' strike. Did that change anything for you, first of all, and then how did you go about that casting process?
Yeah, look, of course, it changed. When you go into a project, you sort of think about who's the best for the role, and availability and everything else. So it sort of took all that off the board, which was kind of liberating in a way, where we could just focus on sort of like two actors that are unknowns and build that into the story of who's going to make it out and how's it going to end. And I just worked with Jamie Costa on my last movie called Bring Him to Me with Sam Neill and Barry Pepper, and I had a great experience working with him and some good feedback from critics about that character. So he was up for the challenge, and then I threw out the casting net to Australia to get auditions, from everyone I could think of, and I sat through hundreds of auditions of young women for the other character, and picked Amalia.
So what was it about Amalia that made you realise she was perfect for the part?
Some people are great actors and have bad auditions. Some people are bad auditions and great actors. She just kind of was the one that just landed. Now that when you watch it as a gut feeling as a director, I was just like, that's it, just the one. She's nailed her audition, and every day she, luckily for me, carried that on throughout the process, and it was just a real joy to work with, and was just in it all the time.
It was interesting that you mentioned there about using actors that are possibly not quite as well known, because I think one of the things that makes Scurry such a special film is how natural it feels. It feels like you're there down in the tunnel with them, and sometimes when you watch a movie like that, you kind of get taken out of it by different actors being in it. Like if it was Matt Damon in Scurry, you'd be like, oh, it's Matt Damon in a tunnel. Whereas with Jamie and Amalia, they're not people that you recognise straight away, so that adds to that naturalness. Is that something that you wanted to achieve as well?
Yeah, the naturalness and also the mystery of who these characters are, but also it leads into who these actors are, so you can sort of journey with them and sort of discover them as you go, rather than, like you said, if it was a Matt Damon movie, you would be like, oh, that's Matt Damon.
Yeah.
And you just kind of know, that's Matt Damon. You've seen it before. So yeah, definitely.
So tell us about the shoot itself, like the having the real-time element there. How did that change the shoot? And it feels so claustrophobic. So how did it feel actually on set making this film?
Yeah, so obviously when I decided to make it a real-time movie, it definitely changes how you approach making a movie. Usually, you can shoot the ending first or the beginning last, or edit it all together. But this one we had to sort of go into it in order as the movie goes along. So that was a different challenge for everyone involved, crew and cast and myself and that. We got these claustrophobic feel every day. It was just 20 crew members very, very close together in these tunnels, working out how to achieve these different shots and move the story along and not feel stale and keep it moving. So it was a real challenge every day. It was definitely one of the most challenging movies I've ever done, and I think if someone asked me if I was going to real time again, I'd probably say not for the moment. So it was definitely challenging.
What kind of pressure does that put also on Jamie and Amalia as well? Like, does that put extra pressure on them, and how as director do you then work with them to get them through that pressure? Yeah,
heaps of pressure, because usually when you say action, a take can be anywhere from a couple of seconds if you're doing an action scene, or up to a couple of minutes if it's a monologue. But this movie, the takes were very, very extremely long. So if one little thing went wrong with a camera position, or an actor flubbed a line, or if someone put their hand in the wrong position, it would be cut, go again. So we were doing many takes for very, very long time. So it put a lot of pressure on them and myself to make sure that everything was choreographed as like dance, really. So it was like I said, a very extremely time consuming process.
Now, I don't want to go into spoiler territory here, but there's a very big reveal at the end of this film. Was that something that you and Tom had spoken about early on, or how did that come about?
Again, not to go into spoilers, but as a director and someone that I would like to think has a creative vision, when I get a script, even if I like it, of course I'm going to have my own input into things and come up with my own, as I said before, it's all encompassing. So then you start dreaming of the script and dreaming of things, and that's what a director does, basically daydream for a living. And it was kind of my suggestion. I was like, it wasn't in the script. So it was without going into spoilers, it was a me suggestion to have that, which harkens back to my sort of occupation rainfall type stuff. So I think we dodged that very, very well without any spoilers there. We did a good job. So
Luke, I have to ask now, with the film coming to be shown to the public at Monster Fest, how are you feeling about the film being put out there to the public, but also being part of such an amazing festival as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's great. Like, I know the Monster Fest guys well. I had Rainfall in them, so I've been talking to them for years. So I thought this movie was exactly what that, it fits the festival very, very well. It's not going to come out publicly to probably early next year, but I didn't want to miss the opportunity for some of these genre festivals, and Monster Fest just fit it. So, hats off to Grant and co to making it happen for Scurry, and I hope people, get out there and get this sneak preview before it comes out next year. How I feel about audience watching it, I always feel sick people watching my movies. It's always a very sort of nerve-wracking situation to put yourself out there as an artist, and people sitting there for 90 minutes watching what you've slaved over for a year.
Well, mate, you kind of answered my next question. You don't have anything to worry about with this film because I know the audiences are going to love it. The one question I always get from Monster Fest is, you saw this movie and it looks great, when's it out? But you kind of answered that, so you are hoping for a release next year.
Yeah. Once America, once we lock in our American release, we'll go off that over here. So that happens at the one time. So I think that will still be, early next year for that. So probably around the same time that I'll push it out here as well.
Awesome. So for all of our listeners out there, you can go onto subcultureentertainment.com right now and you can see all of the session times for Scurry at Monster Fest this year, and you can also click on the link there to grab your tickets as well. Luke, to finish off, what would you like to say to people out there who are about to sit down and watch Scurry this weekend at Monster Fest?
As always, again, for one, thank you for buying your ticket and supporting Aussie films and local films and genre films. And I hope you get a kick out of it, and I hope you walk away, liking it and thinking about what comes next or what you would do in that situation. I think that's the sort of big question this movie asks: is how would you be in a situation like this, trapped down below the ground, not knowing what's going on, and trying to get back to your family, loved ones. So it's a bit of a ride, and I hope you enjoy it.